game with style, off-meta gameplay and builds.
Hey everybody, welcome to Grimsforge Gaming. Today we're going to be giving you two builds for our Gambit. One of them is going to be a PvP build and the other one is PVE. If you've been watching our live streams, this thing absolutely blows up the entire room. So, Gambit go boom. That's been the theme for this. But let's jump into the PvP build. This is an oldie but a goodie, and it just happens to work out really well with some new scribing abilities, okay? So let's look at this here. First thing to note, we are not using a mythic on this. The reason we're not using a mythic is because pre-update 43, I needed to use Mighty Chudan. I have not taken Chudan off of this. You can now run Belors. So once we jump into the passives and some things that have changed during 43, you'll see that Chudan may or may not be the play because you get that buff, you get your armor buff now just hitting Shadowy Disguise, and the duration has been increased. Previously it was only lasting for 9 seconds, and that just is not long enough in a battleground or in a PvP scenario, and so I was getting hit really hard when my armor buff was down, so I went with Chudan. But now with some things changed, it's staying up for at least 16 seconds. Might want to entertain it. I haven't made that change yet, so what you're seeing is exactly what was being used in the gameplay for Battlegrounds. It's the exact build, okay? So first things first, we are using Vicious Death, and we are running a sharpened lightning staff. The lightning staff will increase all of our direct damage attacks. The 2-piece is weapon and spell damage, 3-piece is max mag, 4-piece is crit chance, 5-piece is pen, and then an additional 5 pieces. When you kill a player, they violently explode for almost 17,000 flame damage, okay? Vicious Death's been in the game a long time. Everybody should know what it does at this point. You do need to get the killing blow on somebody in order for that to go off, okay? We are running Vicious Death jewelry. We've got a Vicious Death infused with spell damage, and we've got infused with spell damage, and then we have Arcane with spell damage, and that little extra mag is fine. If you wanted to make this infused, you could. I think I didn't have any more transmutes, so I just slapped slapped an enchant on it and called it a day. Okay, the next set that we are running is Tarnished Nightmare. This thing is broken as all get out, and people say it's not, but it just really is. And it's just so much free damage every 8 seconds, and you have to run it right now. Most Nightblades are running it, and all other classes are running it. Like, it's just so much free damage every 8 seconds. Why not? Okay. This is a medium. Tarnish is a medium armor set, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 medium, 2 heavy. Okay. You can see we're running the Prismatic Enchant. We're just running the Mag Enchant here, and this one happens to be Divines. Impen here. Honestly, this playstyle, you could run almost Divines on everything. If you run Divines on everything, you would get a lot more... I think we're running mag recovery. Yeah, so we would get a lot more mag recovery, and that's probably going to solve the mag issue on this. You put people away or put groups away so quickly, and you're fighting, it's just on to the next fight, that your mag gets low in it, and so it's just keeping your foot on the pedal too long fighting, and so extra mag recovery would be good. Divines on everything, and eventually here real soon I'm going to gold these out just in time for them to nerf Tarnished, right? Heavy armor, Chudan, and Chudan gives you the 1 pieces some armor, the 2 pieces max health, and the additional 2 pieces you gain major resolve at all times. So that armor buff never drops off. I was using this because it was dropping off every 9 seconds, and I did not like that. There were moments where I shouldn't be taking the amount of damage that I was taking, and so this made a lot of sense. Now, two-piece Belors makes more sense probably. So that way you get the more weapon and spell damage when you're dropping meteors on people's heads. Okay, let's look at the abilities. This is the next thing that's important. We are running Force Pulse. The second paragraph of Force Pulse is very important because that extra splash damage, this is unbuffed by the way, but that extra splash damage, we get that guaranteed because of the way we open on people. We're also running Crushing Weapon. It's really nice. It's really nice burst damage, and it applies major breach to our primary target. So what we're doing is we're hoping that we can take our primary target out of the equation, which in turn triggers our vicious death and sets off a chain reaction, killing a bunch of people. We are running Merciless Resolve, or you're not even Nightblading if you're not running this thing. It's just overtuned. And if you're within melee range, it's going to heal you. So we're running Shadowy Disguise for that guaranteed crit from stealth, and you also get Major Prophecy, Major Savagery, increasing your weapon and spell critical while slotted. And this is the icing on the cake. We are running Magical Explosion. It has a 14k tooltip. This will be a guaranteed crit coming from stealth. Hits extremely hard, and the second part of this is probably one of the most important parts. The afflicts enemies with burning, chill, and concussed. That makes the second paragraph of this guaranteed to happen. So the splash damage to the additional players is going to happen because of the second paragraph of this, afflicting the enemies with the status effects. Also, if any enemy is hit, grants you Major Brutality, Major Sorcery for 10 seconds, increase your weapon and spell damage by 20%. 10 seconds is not very long, but that's about all the time we need to clear a room with this thing. And so I hope eventually, because it's Major Sorcery, Major Brutality, that they increase the duration to match other majors. I'm surprised that that wasn't a thing, and I thought it was going to be, but it's still only 10 seconds. I don't know. But anyways, 10 seconds is enough time for us to get it done. Another thing too is by the time that 10-second Major Sorcery, Major Brutality runs out, Tarnished is off cooldown, and so that very next time we hit Shadowy Disguise and start casting this, because it has a 2-second cast time, it's going to be guaranteed that Tarnished goes off. And so looking at that, the way this synergizes, right? When you deal critical damage to an enemy, glass shards burst 8 meters around them, dealing 6k physical damage to enemies in the burst and applying the Sundered status effect. So minor breach, okay? Everyone gets hit with minor breach. I also have a target that's going to get hit with major breach, and we get a guaranteed crit from stealth. So our elemental explosion's a guaranteed crit. Tarnished, almost all of it is a guaranteed crit, and it's splash damage hitting everyone, and we applied a status effect, and then it's just absolute nutty. And so if anyone's left standing, we will have a Merciless ready to go. We could even hit a Crushing Weapon, Shadowy Disguise right into a Merciless, or a Light Attack, Force Pulse. Like, the rotation on this is so crazy. Oh, and by the way, we also have an Ice Comet we can drop on people's head like an acorn. So we have so much damage on this thing. Nightblades. Nightblades. I mean, what's going on here? So anyways, Ice Comet was the play here. It has a higher tooltip, and it does a stun when it hits. Also applies a slow or a snare, and then there's a really nice dot on the ground, damage over time from the frost damage for 13 seconds if they stay in that area and continue to fight. So there is so much damage. This is all the damage. If you've seen my gameplay, Battlegrounds, or watched Infinite Archive with this same rotation, it's silly. Okay, let's look at the back bar. These two are a flex spot right now. This is what I have right now if we need to tank out some things, tank out some people. You could also end up putting Shadowy Disguise. I think for my Battleground I was using Shadowy Disguise and trying to juke some people. This is fine too because you get the extra movement speed, minor expedition at all times. So we have access to major and minor expedition on this, so we can zip around. And sometimes major and minor expedition is better than Shadowy Disguise. Now, if there's a level change, like there's a second floor or third floor of a place, or some, really cheeky corners that you can hide the shadow image, that's the play. But most of the time we can just dip out between using Major and Minor Expedition and a cloak and we're gone. Okay. Refreshing path is optional. This also gives you Minor Expedition if you want it, Major Expedition, sorry, but we had it for the heal. You could put Shadowy Disguise here, keep that on your bar. You could keep that on your bar, put Shadowy Disguise there. Absolute flex spot. Okay. Race against time to clear all of the snares. This is important, and we're running Resolving Vigor. It gives us minor resolve and also has a nice hot. And Healthy Offering is our burst heal with minor mending, and we're running Soul Tether. If you're a vampire, I am a vampire on this, but I'm only stage 1. But if you ran, like, say, stage 3 vampire, you could actually run a Vampire Lord, one of the vampires on here, one of the Blood Scions, and it would basically be a free get out of jail card. Like, if you got really low in health, trigger your vampire, boom, you're back to full health plus the 10k for the vampire ultimate. Right now Soul Tether seems to be working out. It allows me to tank down on some damage. It also, if Tarnish is off cooldown, I'm going to hit a Shadowy Disguise and go right into a group Soul Tether, and then hit Shadowy Disguise and drop a bomb on them. Elemental Explosion. Like, the rotation in this playstyle is really, really crazy. So let's buff up here real quick. I just want to show you a couple things here. We're going to look at the stats. All right. See, our mag recovery is about 2k, our health recovery is 1100, our stam recovery is 1600. These all seem to be working out okay. Mag recovery, if we had more divines, would probably be at the absolute sweet spot. So hitting divines on this would really help out. Let's get our buffs up again here real quick. I want you to see our spell damage is just under 5k on this. Our spell critical is 37%. Doesn't matter on the spell critical because almost everything we do is guaranteed crits from stealth. We've got 8400 physical penetration or mag spell pen, which is getting it done. Plus we have major breach and minor breach on targets, so that's another 6k on top of that. So we're hitting 15k pen on targets. Our resistances are actually respectable on our back bar. 28k on a bomb build is not bad at all. 25,000 on our front bar is pretty good. So that's the rotation to what you guys just saw. I'm basically going to be in stealth. I'm going to drop this on them. I'm going to hit them with this. Hit stealth because they're dropping the acorn on their head. And so it's just so much freaking damage that people don't last. Okay? Let's jump in, look at the CP, and we're done. We are running Steed's Blessing for 20% movement speed. We're running Rationer. We use the expensive food, so we need a longer duration on it. We're using Gifted Rider because we've been out in Cyrodiil, and we want that better mount speed, and Warm Mount, so we're not using stamina. We are using Untamed Aggression for an extra 150 spell damage. We're using Wrathful Strikes for an extra 205 weapon and spell damage. Reaving Blows, so we heal for 7% of our damage done. We do a metric ton of burst damage, so that 7% is pretty impressive. Keeps us off our back bar. We just stay offensive. Delete the entire room of people and we'll have heals coming in. And Master at Arms, increase your damage done with direct damage attacks by 6%. Oh, another thing too, go right in here. There is an extra 100 weapon and spell damage on both sides. Get both of those because we do all of these damage types. We do physical, we do magic, flame, frost, and shock. So get both of these for an extra 200 weapon and spell damage. Over here, we are running Rejuvenation for 90 extra recoveries, 1400 max health with Boundless Vitality, Pain's Refuge. I don't have a cleanse and I don't have a way to get dots off me, so if I'm getting dotted down and I can't use my Shadowy Disguise to get away, I at least have more resistances while we're getting dotted down. And so Pain's Refuge was the play, and we're running Fortified for some extra armor because we are a high elf. Very rarely do I ever run other races. Most of the time it's Nord. But on this one, we're a high elf. We want that extra spell damage. And we're using Smoke Bear Haunch, Stage 1 Vampire. I would recommend Stage 2 so you get the Strike from the Shadows passive. Once I pick up the Divines on all my armor pieces, I'll probably run Stage 2. I never run Stage 3 on anything, and I don't think that I ever have. I just don't worry about the Undeath passive because of all the extra ability costs that are associated with it, and in my mind I'm like, if I need to rely on this Undeath passive to save me, I've already screwed up, and I probably wouldn't even be in this situation if I had the more recoveries to survive. So Atronach is the play for sure. Otherwise, you're going to be out of Magicka, and that's for sure. And let's look at this real quick. Increase the experience gain, destruction staff, increase your experience. When you activate an ability, you restore 625 magic or stamina based on whichever is the lowest. This effect can occur every 6 seconds. That's a nice thing. When you are using the ability with a channel or a cast time, you take 5%. Well, this thing has a 5-second cast time. It's 2 seconds, but it feels like 5 seconds. So you're taking less damage while that's going. We need the extra max mag and increase your weapon and spell damage by 258. So if we had the Strike from the Shadows passive from the Vampire for being Stage 2, that extra 300 weapon and spell damage coming from stealth, on top of that, we could scale up our weapon and spell damage even more. But if you look at it, even in the videos, I believe I was only Stage 1. I wasn't even running Stage 2 Vampire and just deleting groups of people and rooms. So anyways, that's everything right here. This is Gambit, my PvP build. It's pretty simple, and like we said, switch out Chudan if you're okay. Like I said, we have 16 seconds now on our major resolve instead of, it was only at 9 seconds. But since they moved some abilities around to different class trees, it's actually helped us, so it's a good quality of life change for Nightblade. So Nightblades go Burt. There's so much freaking damage, so much built-in utility, so much healing, so much fun. Alright, this is my Gambit. Oh! Real quickly, we're going to have some people to say, what are those armor styles I need to know for Gambit? So let's go over here and look at this real quick. This is called the Soul Cleaver Helmet. This is in Infinite Archive, okay? It'll be one of the gold motifs that, as you're running through Infinite Archive, it'll be one of the gold motifs that you come across. And so, super unique helm, face mask. I love it. I wish there was something that was more Gambit-like with a headband and then the cheeks on the side, but there's nothing in game currently that's like that, so I just went with this because it is awesome looking. Right now we have our shoulders hidden. We are using Order of the Hour chest piece. This is heavy too. Horned Dragon belt, Order of the Hour gloves, Zifkin greaves, and Dova's dual sabatons. So, and this is called the Gloombound staff, and that Gloombound weapon pack is also what I use like for Luke and Starkiller, like the swords that look like lightsabers. So, okay, that is Gambit. Stick around, we're gonna show you guys the PVE build here. Thanks, bye. Hey everybody, welcome back. We're going to jump into our PVE build for Gambit, and we run the same rotation on our PVE. We just switched out one of our armor sets, and it's been working out really well. So again, let's jump into this. If you stuck around for the first part of the video, you see why we were running Mighty Chudan. You could easily switch that out with two-piece Balors. The Belorg set might probably be the play for you. The reason we were running Chudan is because our armor buff was only staying on for 9 seconds pre-update 43, and now it's staying up for 16 seconds, so a nice quality of life change. I left two-piece Chudan on here because I wanted you to see the exact build that I was running in my Infinite Archive live streams, because people were like, that is an immense amount of damage, and we weren't even leaning into the damage as much as we could because we were running Chudan. We were more worried about keeping our armor buff up. Okay, so two-piece Chudan, these are too heavy, and we're still running our Tarnished, the exact same from our PvP build, right? Again, these could all be Divines. They could be Divines for both PvP and PvE. Because we come from the shadows and clear an entire room, both in PvP and PvE. So Divines would help with our mag recovery since we're running the Atronach. You can see we are not running a front bar back bar setup. We're just back barring two-piece. If you wanted to run a clever type something, you wouldn't even be able to run a front bar back bar because we're running Tarnished and we're running the Macabre, or Macabre, however you pronounce it, Macabre. And the Macabre is a lot of weapon and spell damage. You see that, the 2 through 5. And then the 5-piece, when you kill a monster, they burst with blood magic, dealing 50% of their max health to enemies within 6 meters as bleed damage, up to 24, almost 25,000, or 24,100 bleed damage. This damage cannot critically strike. This effect can occur. The thing about that damage is no other set in the game in PvE will do similar damage output when you're actually putting NPCs away. And so if I've got a boss and I just make sure that I get everyone lined up together around the boss, and each one of those, if there's 5 of them exploding, all 5 are going to individually explode, doing 24,000 damage to the boss. And so my group clear with these two things, not only am I getting a guaranteed critical from stealth and hitting for 6k with Tarnished, and it's splash damage and everything. It's just so much freaking damage, the way this lines up. But let's look at the abilities unbuffed. We are running the exact same rotation as my PvP build, Force Pulse, and that second paragraph is very important. We'll come back to it. We're running Crushing Weapon. That's a really nice physical damage burst, and it applies Major Breach, so that way we can pretty much guarantee that we're going to get one of the creatures with Major Breach and get it low to start chain reactions. And Merciless, you're not even Nightblading if you're not running Merciless, and Shadowy Disguise for the guaranteed crits, and we're running Magical Explosion. It's got a 14k tooltip, a little bit more than that, almost 16k tooltip. The second paragraph is the most important paragraph, afflicts enemies with Burning, Chilled, and Concussed. And then the third paragraph, if any enemy was hit, grants you Major Brutality for only 10 seconds. 10 seconds is not a long time for Major Brutality, Major Sorcery, but we can clear a room in 10 seconds. So anyways, that second paragraph with the status effects is important, because then we get the second paragraph here for splash damage. And so the way the damage lines up on this is pretty impressive. And then we've got an Ice Comet also with a major tooltip and a real heavy dot landing on their head like an acorn. These two abilities right here could be flex. Right, you can put whatever you want. I'm running this because sometimes I have to tank, and my back bar is an ice staff, and so I'll just channel an ice staff heavy attack to get the shield, and then I'll just DPS them with concealed weapon, and I'll keep them debuffed with mass hysteria to keep major cowardice on whatever's attacking me, so that way I'm not you know, taking so much damage. We have Race Against Time for major expedition, and we also have minor expedition right here, so we're pretty fast. We've got minor resolve. This also gives us or we have resolving vigor, which is a heal over time, and it also has minor resolve. And then we have healthy offering, which is our burst heal, and it gives us minor mending. And we're running soul tether, and soul tether allows us to tank down in outnumbered situations, so that seems to work out really well. Let's look at the rotation here. I go shadowy disguise. I start throwing this thing on people, and that's the rotation. I'll do it again here, and we'll make sure that hits from stealth, so that way it gets a guaranteed crit. And that's pretty much the rotation, is just clearing a room like that. Tarnished has an 8-second cooldown. The thing about Tarnished having an 8-second cooldown is this has a 10-second cooldown. So pretty much when we need to reapply this and just do massive damage to the room again with this coming from stealth, we'll get our major brutality up, and you can almost guarantee that when we're trying to get our major brutality, major sorcery up, that Tarnish is ready to go, because it has less of a global cooldown than our major brutality, major sorcery. So the rotation on this is very, very silly. It's so much freaking damage. Anyways, go check out my live stream. You can see me in Infinite Archive just deleting rooms, okay? And the back bar seems to work out really well. Again, we still are a high elf, and in the first build video we said why. You could run stage 2 vampires, so that way you get to strike from the shadows passive, which is more weapon and spell damage coming from stealth. And we're running the Atro. We're using Smoke Bear Haunch for the recoveries. I will probably bump up to stage 2 to get more weapon and spell damage once I get more of my pieces of armor divined out, so that way my mag recovery is a little higher. So we do have respectable resistances on this too. 25k isn't too bad. And we also have the Frost Staff heavy attack that gives us a shield in PvP or PVE world, so that seems to work out. And so I might end up just having to tank down like this for a little bit if I've got a boss on me, and I just make sure that we keep them debuffed. And occasionally, boom, we'll turn here, we'll hit this, and you can stealth as that's en route too, by the way. So just like with this, I can cast it, then stealth to get the guaranteed crit, or I can cast this, then stealth and get the guaranteed crit. Okay, so it's a lot of damage, lines up really nice, and so lots of fun. Go look at my PvP build right towards the end. You can see what armor sets we're using on this, and let's hover over everything. We are using a lightning staff sharpened. We're using a frost staff, and it's only in training. Once we get it in defending, we'll have more resistances on the back bar. We ran out of transmutes, and we are running robust on all of these, and I just adjusted my attributes to account for it. But ideally, if I wanted more damage or more mag, we would change these out to magic or healthy or infuse for more weapon and spell damage. But right now they're robust. That's how they come when you buy them, and we don't have the transmutes to change them. And then, like I said, all the armor pieces should probably be I'm using this in PvP also. All the armor pieces should be divines though, so that way for both PvP and PvE, because of the way this lines up, the damage lines up on it. So, and same CP as our PvP build. I don't change it for any of it. Steed's Blessing, Rationer, Gifted Rider, War Mount, Untamed Aggression, Wrathful Strikes, Reaving Blows, Mastered Arms, Rejuvenation, Boundless Vitality, Pain's Refuge, and Fortified. So that is our PvE Gambit, and go check out the live stream if you want to see us just absolutely delete rooms with bombs. It's pretty silly. Nightblades go boom. All right. You guys have a good day. Bye.